Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right, bringing our VIP guest for the evening, Brianna Lyman. She, of course, is the host of the Countdown to Freedom at the Federalist. Of course, she writes for the Federalist as well, and she joins this show for the first time. Brianna, how are you?
Joe, thanks so much for having me.
Outstanding for you to be here late on a school night. We really appreciate it. now, I think you told me this once. You are a Fordham Ram. Am I right about that?
I am not so proud of my Fordham Ram recently.
Yeah, another woke campus. Share. Yeah. Why is that exactly?
They were woke when I was on school, very anti-Trump, and they've just progressively gotten more progressive and worse.
Oh, man. You know, my second book was called Progressively Worse. So, I mean, this is a nice tie-in, no question. Why Today's Democrats Ain't Your Daddy's Donkeys, available on Amazon right now. So let's unpack a couple things here, right? I'll tell you what. I'm going to play you a clip, all right? And then I just want your gut reaction to it, all right? Your gut reaction to it. This is cut number 10, all right, guys? And this is out of Denver, Colorado. And this is a Gen Xer, all right, much like Brianna. I have a feeling you don't have a lot in common. Talking about how we just need to embrace humanity and just all get along, except for one little section of our population. This is cut number 10. Go.
It's hard to get used to getting used to violence. How do we fight desensitization?
I think by humanizing everybody in your life, humanizing your neighbors, humanizing the people you disagree with.
Sure.
Every single life is valuable. I mean,
Agreed.
I guess except for ICE, like kill ICE agents. But,
oh boy.
and Denver Police Department. But aside from that, we have to humanize each other. We have to care for each other.
All right, Brianna, floor is yours. Your gut reaction to. Hey, we got to get along, everybody, except kill ICE and kill the Denver Police Department. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, she just let the cat out of the bag for the entire purpose of the rhetoric that surrounds ICE agents and cops, right? You think of what just happened in Minneapolis, and they've already accused this ICE agent of murder without even letting this man even possibly go to trial, right? They've already automatically assumed his guilt. And the reason they accuse him of murder and call ICE agents these awful derogatory terms is they want to dehumanize someone. Because once someone's dehumanized, it desensitizes Americans to political violence, and this isn't a new strategy. I mean, I think of President Trump leading up to his first assassination attempt. He was called Hitler and a Gestapo and Nazis. They were dehumanizing him actively so that they could desensitize Americans to when political violence was targeted toward the president and now toward ICE agents.
You're so right about that. As far as ICE, again, I said it in the last block, but it bears repeating. I mean, these ICE agents and just in general, the Trump policy, right? The Trump doctrine of just removing as many illegal aliens out of this country as possible, starting with the worst of the worst in terms of murderers and, I don't know, rapists and sex traffickers and child traffickers. And you go down the list and somehow it's almost like being against a cure for cancer with Democrats saying, no, we ICE, they're the bad guys, and the real bad guys should be able to stay here. It's just unbelievable. We're talking to Brianna Lyman. So I want to get your thoughts on this because I don't know if you experience this at all because you're closer to it, given you're Gen X and I'm not quite Gen X, as far as men playing against women in sports, whether that be on the collegiate level, obviously the high school level. I've seen it on a younger level. My daughter just started middle school. I saw it as young as 5th and 4th grade where there were boys playing on girls' teams, and you could tell the difference, certainly for sure. Harriet became Harry, and that's not a good thing. It looks like right now that the 6-3 conservative Supreme Court is probably going to ban transgender athletes from taking part in girls' sports, and obviously that would be in college and that would be in high school, and obviously the locker room sharing would go away as well. In general, I know I'm asking you a very obvious question because I think 80-90% of Americans are against this at this point, but do you think if Trump won that this would even be before the Supreme Court at this point? I'm sorry, if he didn't win and Kamala won.
I actually do think it would still be before the Supreme Court, but I don't think this is a question that should be before the Supreme Court. One, for the obvious reasons that we're trying to deny biological reality, which is absurd. But two, we have a branch of the government, which is the judicial branch, that apparently gets to make the final determination on this question and so many others, right? Think of President Trump's first year in office. He has been plagued by rogue activist judges stopping him because they say we have the final authority. We get to rubber stamp what you do. But there is nothing in the Constitution that gives the Supreme Court the authority to review decision-making of Congress, of state legislatures. And yet here we have the Supreme Court having to make that determination because their role in American society has went from simply, expounding what the law is, right? Just saying, hey, guys, here's what the actual text means, to saying, here's what the text means, and we're going to tell you, 9 of us are going to tell you if we think that's right or wrong. That is absolutely not what the framers intended. That's not what the founders intended, and it's dangerous.
It is dangerous, and we're also bordering on stupid as far as some of the quotes you see going back and forth as far as in the audio, quite frankly, which is nice to have from the Supreme Court. But you have the attorney for a biological male athlete. It's Kathleen Harnett, and she was arguing before Justice Sam Alito. And Alito asked at one point, for equal protection purposes, what does it mean to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman? And the attorney answers, we do not have a definition for the court. Is that Ketanji Brown Jackson, morphed into a lawyer now, speaking before the court? Because she said the same thing. I can't identify one way or another. Alito goes on to say, how can a court determine if there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means for equal protection purposes? And the other lawyer for the biological male athlete had no answer. So that seemed to be a very crucial moment. I don't know if you saw it or heard it, Brianna.
Yeah, I did. And I think this questioning was so well done, and it just highlights, the absurdity of the left's position. And it's funny because the same party that is struggling to identify what is a woman is the same party that has been able to identify just fishermen and fisher boats who are apparently being blown up because they're not actually drug dealers. So it just goes to show you the way that they're willing to make these determinations. And I saw something the other day, and it was so funny. Donald Trump should declare himself to be a female and say, I'm the first female president. Because you would see the left absolutely blow up because they'd either have to reject their own argument and say, wow, this is actually absurd, or they'd have to agree that Donald Trump is the first female president, which we know they're not going to do, just to really put it in their faces.
Oh, that's genius. He'd do it too. Why not? Just to troll, right? Yeah, seriously, he probably is. I remember when Bill Clinton, I don't know if he declared it or he was declared the first black president, but that's it. That was before social media. I have a feeling that wouldn't fly now. And speaking of the Clintons, by the way, they were supposed to appear before lawmakers on Capitol Hill to talk about Epstein, and Democrats seem very, very interested in Epstein. But now with the Clintons, they don't seem so interested. And Tara Palmieri, who pretends to be a journalist as well, for whatever reason, isn't doing 18 podcasts on the fact that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton refused to testify before Capitol Hill on what their names are doing in the Epstein files, particularly Bill Clinton. But yes, suddenly Democrats, this thing has kind of gone away, hasn't it? Now the attention has shifted to the Clintons. Go figure, Brianna.
Oh, yeah, of course we expected this. They've tried to make the Epstein issue a Trump issue, but the problem is, one, President Trump is the only president who has been transparent with the Epstein files, and maybe he hasn't been as quickly transparent as some would want, but he's the only one who's released anything. And now that he's releasing these things, it turns out it's not actually good for Democrats. And today what we saw from the Clintons should be a really good point for Republicans to say, you know what? The same way you guys threw Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro in jail for contempt of Congress because they defied a subpoena, that needs to happen to Clinton because guess what? Nobody's above the law.
I've heard that before. No one is above the law. That seemed to be retired around January 20th, 2025. And we're talking to Brianna Lyman of the Federalist, of course. That's the thing, right? I mean, the Epstein files, Obama had them and Biden had them. And I'm sure the Clinton campaign had some access to them. If they wanted to take out Donald Trump before he ever became president, they very easily could have just leaked that to the New York Times in about 5 minutes if he did anything nefarious in those files. And obviously he didn't. Because if he did, we all know that would have been leaked by now. That would have been weaponized by now. And even when Democrats haven't had any bullets in the gun as far as trying to get Trump and weaponizing the justice system, they throw stuff out there anyway, like the Russia collusion or all those trials that fell apart, like the Fonnie Willis trial and the Jack Smith trial. So yeah, that's the thing. Like, this all would have came out by now if Trump were involved in any way, shape, or form as far as pedophilia. And it just is not happening. We're talking to Brianna Lyman at this point. So I'm just curious, as far as I shared my perspective on what happened in Minneapolis with Nicole Good, and obviously the ICE agent, as very few outlets are reporting, was dragged 100 feet by an illegal alien when he was trying to arrest him, dragged by his car, and then ended up in the hospital and needed 33 stitches. So once you go through something like that, right, and a car is now coming at you once again, when you hear drive, baby, drive, you see this SUV and the person hits the gas and tries to accelerate really fast, and you get out of the way, it still hits you, right? Maybe you're not critically injured, but still, once you see that intent or what you deem to be intent, you have to defend yourself. And obviously now we're seeing from the media saying that this was just a woman, a mother of three, just trying to get home and was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's what Adam Schiff said. And obviously she did nothing wrong, or she didn't try to hit the agent, or 100 different excuses. But I'm just amazed at this point, Brianna, that we're still at this point where you have a basic set of facts based on video evidence, and yet the left is still going with this narrative. Is it backfiring at this point? Because I feel like the American people have made up their minds, and for the most part, outside of the far left and very, very loud women that like to wear glasses and have bad hair, it's not really resonating with anybody else.
Yeah, I don't think it's resonating. And we hear this line from the left. Well, she was a mother of three, and she said to the ICE officer, "I'm not mad at you, bro," as if that precludes someone from being, criminally
She was
responsible.
being sarcastic, obviously, right?
Of course, right. And the left thinks, though, that if you say that, or you are a mother of three children, or whatever the case may be, if you have some kind of extenuating circumstance, you're actually absolved from any guilt in any kind of situation. But the fact remains, to your point, this ICE officer had a split second to make a decision, and given not only past circumstances, put those aside. When you are standing in front of a vehicle and you hear drive, baby, drive, you hear the car rev up and you see the car coming towards you, you have a split second. And we have seen in the past, we have seen one female officer a few years ago, I think it was 2017.
Baltimore,
she was
right?
ran over and I think so, yes,
Yeah.
and killed by a driver because she didn't make that split-second decision to fire her weapon. In another instance, a police officer was saved by a snowbank when a woman tried to run him over because
Wow.
he didn't fire his gun in that split-second decision. And so this ICE agent had a lot of different factors at play here. And the fact that you have people on the left rushing to make a determination of murder as he's guilty of murder is so dangerous.
It is dangerous. And somebody's going to get killed over this at some point, if not this ICE agent who's been doxxed, right? There's been hundreds of death threats against him already. He's had to go underground, in essence. And it's a shame because he's engaged. He's, about to engage in the next chapter of his life. And just by doing his job, hopefully, though, like everything else in the news, that this goes away with the next controversy that I'm sure will sweep it under the rug eventually. But overall, I just can't get over the fact that there are some people on national television saying, well, he should have shot at the tires. I can tell you, Brianna, as somebody who had a flat tire and literally drove like 4 miles on a dead flat tire because I didn't want to have to pay for the tow truck. I was young. You can do it. You can move at a decent speed, especially when the thing first pops, right? It's not like it stops the car. This isn't the movies, right? If somebody's a foot in front of you, you want to kill them, even if you have a flat tire, you can do that. Anyway, Brianna Lyman, we got to go. Unfortunately, I'm told we have to break. But before we do go, obviously, here you are in the next chapter of your life as well, right? Fordham wasn't too many years ago as far as college, and now you're a big deal. You're all over Fox. You're battling people on CNN. How did you get people's attention at first just to get on television? Because that's the hardest part, getting that first booking.
It really is, and that happened for me about 5 years ago now. I was just writing a lot and covering a lot over at the Daily Caller, and I got a break at Newsmax, and that's where it all began.
There you go. And then somebody saw you on Newsmax and then said, hey, let's get her on CNN. Let's get her on Fox. Have you ventured onto MSNBC? But did that call ever come in?
It hasn't come in, but one of the MSNBC hosts recently followed me, so I'm expecting an invite soon.
Oh, there you go. I've actually been on there several times. It's before it became a maniac kind of news organization. Like it was kind of normal. Let's put it this way. I went on Keith Olbermann's show.
Wow.
I didn't walk off there saying this guy's crazy, but this was 2004 when I was about your age, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever because I watched Keith on SportsCenter on ESPN. I'm like, wow, Keith Olbermann show. I'm calling my dad and everything. Now I look back at it, I'm like, he was dating Katie Tur at the time, and he was like 50 and she's 23. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that thing, but just don't date any 50-years-olds, Brianna, okay? Stay within your within like a 10-year radius, please.
Don't worry, I'm safe.
All right, good. Like Keith Olbermann calls, you don't take that call, all right? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, we got to go, unfortunately, but we'll have you back soon. Brianna, have a great Tuesday night. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks so much.
All right, she's great, isn't she? That's Brianna Lyman, and this is Joe Concha, the Joe Concha Show.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.